Modern Warfare 2 Season 3 Reloaded is just around the corner, and while we've already discussed maps, modes, Warzone ranked details, and more, one thing we've not been able to have the opportunity to fully expand upon was weapons. Emphasis on plural there, because coming within the mid-season Reloaded update, we have two. The last two seasons, we only had one weapon introduced in terms of like a functional ranged weapon beyond melees, but that changes with this update next week. So what's the weapons? What can you expect them to play like? And is there a possibility we may even have a third weapon coming that may be a complete surprise? Today, we're breaking that all down and more, so as we go along, drop your thoughts down below. If you enjoy the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, and anything COD related, especially with a new update right around the corner. Really looking forward to bringing you guys a bunch of guides as per mid-season tradition here for the new unlocks upcoming, as well if you're interested in joining in on some potential streams this weekend, links are down below to where we may be live. But for now, let's jump into it. So the weapons that we'll see with the mid-season update are both, first off, sidearms. We have two fully auto sidearms here being added in. They're our first sidearm introductions into the game's armory, coming 6+ months after the launch of the game, but we finally have some love for fans of pistols. Now, what they are, firstly, the FTAC Siege. This described as designed to be compact and maneuverable. This is a jaw-dropping fire rate and rapid swap speed, a trusted secondary for up-close engagements. Now, the FTAC Siege is also described as being highly customizable, fully automatic, with a full suite of exciting new attachments. Now, it is something that they did say it cannot be dual wielded yet. Its gunsmithing options include drum magazines, numerous barrels that can either extend range or grant better mobility. It's got an SMG grade stock and an assortment of muzzles borrowed from the deep SMG pool of attachments. Now, the final thing they mention is that while it's not a true substitute to the SMGs, it is one that you don't have to take overkill for, and it will do incredibly well for you. They already detailed how to unlock this here as of next week's update, that being get 50 sidearm hipfire operator kills using handguns or via a store bundle. So that's going to be something that actually seems like the last couple of seasons, these mid-season updates have introduced the weapons a little bit later on down the line, in the store that is, not simultaneously with the introduction of that via weapon challenge. So it is something that you can end up doing that if shipment 24/7's around. You can absolutely get that done with relative ease, but you have to do that on actual players, operator denoting real players. So unfortunately, you can't go into DMZ or anything and just farm AI kills with this. Now, how I expect this to play, honestly, I think it'll be solid, but again, not a true substitute for an SMG. But I do think it will be definitely nice that if you're, say, in Warzone, you could probably take this as a valid sidearm and not have to use overkill as one of your base perks. If you want something like double time or something in place of that overkill, you could probably get away with it. But seems like this is going to be the more mobile and controllable weapon of our two sidearms, but it is definitely one that I'm looking forward to trying out. Now, the second weapon is the GS Magna, and this one, I'm going to say it again, but it's kind of comical to me because this is described as a fully automatic 50 GS boasting a thunderous rate of fire and enough power to put an end to anyone foolish enough to cross your path. Hold down the trigger and let the 50 cal speak for itself. It's later described that if the X13 auto is good for mobility and the FTAC Siege's strength is versatility, this sidearm is built for raw power. Using the exact same cartridge and most attachments as the semi-auto 50 GS, including the ability to go akimbo and absolutely pulverize enemies at close range, you have to be careful what you wish for. It does state that there is incredibly high recoil. However, operators who can tame the beast of the sidearm will be handsomely rewarded with a secondary that can easily compete at extreme close ranges. So you are going to be using a 50 cal fully auto pistol. That's just, again, comical to me. I can't wait to go into the firing range and just let this thing rip and see how far up and how fast you kick up just by holding down the trigger. I'm very curious to see how usable this is. I definitely think that it's, especially in close quarters, going to rival that of like shotguns, but it is something they've already detailed. Again, the weapon unlock challenge, that is to get 30 headshots on operators using the 50 GS or again via a store bundle. So definitely interesting here, both sidearms having potential, but both having their own intricacies that are, again, just so strange to me almost. But that's two weapons we have here as the mid-season, but I talked about in the intro, is there potentially more weapons up on deck? Because if you guys remember back to the original marketing of Season 3, a couple of weeks ago before the season launched, we saw in one of the trailers that there was a couple of frames of the PKM being visible, the LMG from Modern Warfare 2019, and one that was honestly pretty solid all around. It was a fan favorite LMG at the time. Might not have been the Bruin, but it definitely had its place in the meta for both MP and in Warzone in due time. So is this something we can maybe expect to see in Season 3? Now, with no melee weapons, a sort of unannounced weapon drop wouldn't necessarily be the craziest thing, but I don't know that I would expect that personally. Because if you look at by comparison, Season 1 offered the weapons of the BAS-P, Victus XMR, M13B, and the Chimera. Season 2 offered the ISO Hemlock, KV Broadside, Crossbow, Dual Kodachis, and the Tempest Torrent. Season 3 is offering the Cronin Squall, FGX Imperium, FTAC Siege, and the GS Magna. So really, 4 weapons, as unfortunate as it is by comparison to some of the higher offerings we saw in the last 3 years across Modern Warfare 2019, Black Ops Cold War, and Vanguard, 4 weapons is kind of on brand for what we've seen thus far in Modern Warfare 2. So while I'm not saying that it's impossible to see something like the PKM or a random melee weapon drop, I'm also not getting my hopes up. That's something that I kind of think is a more so overall theme for this year as a whole. Go in level-headed expectations where if you do get something extra, it's definitely nice and a nice little surprise, but at the same time, you're not disappointed if it doesn't happen, if that makes sense. So that said, it looks like we will only have 2 at least guaranteed here, maybe more, but again, I'm more so just counting on the 2 with the mid-season update. Now beyond that, we will see some additional weapon adjustments because weapon tuning is going to be coming. A final note for this weaponry is that every single seasonal update, and only during seasonal updates at this point as of recently, we see weapon tuning adjustments to a whole host of weapons across the armory for what we have on offer in Modern Warfare 2. No specifics have been granted at the moment, but with this happening every single seasonal update and with a bunch of tuning happening at Season 3's launch, but nothing really being substantial, I'm definitely expecting a couple of those weapons probably that were touched on in Season 3 to be adjusted once again. Now, as for my overall thoughts here on the weapon update coming with Season 3 Reloaded, it's definitely nice, but again, a bit bummed that there's not necessarily a new primary being introduced that we know of. I'm all for multiple weapons at mid-season, but the way the distribution isn't so much my issue. It's the usability of the weapons. I feel like secondaries should be secondary in the distribution and content offering. Like, you can introduce them, but only if there's like a primary alongside it that can get good use out of it. And I mean, I guess that we haven't seen a handgun introduced yet, but it does kind of feel odd to me. Like, I'm sure plenty will get use out of these, and perhaps I will too, but preliminarily, when I look at pistols being introduced, I don't focus too much on secondaries. All my loadouts in MP have a knife for faster movement speed out of engagements. In Warzone, usually have overkill, so it's like, I'm not really going to use these, so do we really have another weapon drop? Yes, but to me, it's like one of those ones that just gets overlooked. I don't know if that's just me, but that's where I'm at essentially. I mean, it is definitely nice to see 2 weapons at mid-season. I just wish that we had our normal beginning of the season offering plus 2 at mid-season. Like, give us the Cronin Squall, FGX Imperium, and then one of these sidearms at launch. Then at mid-season here, the other sidearm and maybe a new primary of some kind, maybe an SMG or a rifle, you know? But anyways, that is your Season 3 Reloaded weapons and what you can expect here as of next week's update. So before we wrap everything up, make sure you check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage for the best blue light glasses on the market. I've worked with this team now for over 2 years, and they have been without a doubt one of, if not the most beneficial partners that I've worked with in terms of helping my daily productivity in that time. Sitting at a desk for 6 to 8 to 10 hours a day for years on end, I've absolutely felt the effects of eye fatigue and inability to fall asleep due to blue light. So if you're like me looking at a screen for prolonged periods of time a day, while you can get generic pair off Amazon, Gamer Advantage are head and shoulders above anything you'd find there. They're the most comfortable, lightweight, and durable frames on the market, and unlike those pair you'd find on Amazon, they're clinically proven with studies to back it up. Link in the description below if you guys want to check that out. And Gamer Advantage can work with your insurance to help cover some of, if not the entire cost of your order, and to be custom tailored to you. So at the very least, I'd recommend checking the link in the description below if you guys want to learn more. But if you want to pick something up, use code Espresso for 10% off your entire order. That said, that is what we're going to call it. So let me know your thoughts down below. Looking forward to using these new sidearms and weapons after Season 3 Reloaded's update comes this upcoming Wednesday. Not so much. Whatever the case, drop your thoughts below. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, and anything COD related. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.